Hello, everybody, and welcome back to TNG Entertainment. My name is Aaron Knoll, and we are back here for another review of a recently released film. This one's a little late, about 2 weeks or so, but we are here for Tom and Jerry. That is right, the classic Hanna-Barbera character saw a new film in the franchise released a little over a week ago, actually, on Friday, February 26th, both to theaters and to HBO Max streaming. The new film, directed by Tim Story, most known for directing films like Barbershop, the Fantastic Four films, and the Ride Along films, took his take on Tom and Jerry. It is the second, I believe, only the second theatrical film ever to be made for Tom and Jerry, following up the absolutely hated 1990s version of the film in which Tom and Jerry speak to each other. And the first compliment I can give this film is Tom and Jerry don't speak, which is a vast improvement already over the original. So let's go ahead and get into it. This film has been incredibly divisive for some reason since it was released. A number of people have spoken out and said that they really enjoyed it, and a number of people are absolutely bashing it in, claiming it's not worthy of having the name Tom and Jerry. Quite honestly, I think it's meh. It's not good, but it's certainly not worth the hate that it's been receiving, in my honest opinion. So let's get into some of the aspects of it. The best part of this film for me is Tom and Jerry and the antics of them. Director Tim Story has stated publicly that he is a fan of the cartoons growing up, and this film was actually given to him because it was a passion of his, and it was made in a one for you, one for me deal where he directed the 2019 Shaft film for them, and in trade he said he wanted to make a Tom and Jerry film, and so that's why this film got made. And I actually feel he did nail the Tom and Jerry aspect of it. It's not the best version we've seen of these antics done, but I thought the chases, the violence, the nonsensical craziness and the antics, I thought it was all done about as correctly as a live action Tom and Jerry film could do. As I jokingly referenced earlier, Tom and Jerry don't speak in this film. All of their dialogue is taken from previous vocal recordings done by Hanna-Barbera themselves. Frank Welker has some voices in there, and I believe the director of the film, Tim Story, also did some uncredited extra vocal work for Tom and Jerry. So their noises are a mix of all different people who have voiced the character over time. And I liked it. I thought the portrayals of the characters felt very natural to what we've seen before. And even though the rest of the characters, like Butch, or I believe Spike the Cat was one of them, were voiced by celebrities in this. We had people like Bobby Cannavale, Lil Rel Howery, and Hispanic rap artist Nicky Jam voicing characters. I didn't think the celebrity voices were distracting in this, and I actually thought some of them gave pretty solid performances. Specifically, I'll say Nicky Jam, for the interpretation of that character they were going for, which was essentially street gang, I thought he did a good job voicing it. It was almost like having the kid's version of 6ix9ine the Cat in a film. It kind of worked. One of the biggest aspect of this film, unfortunately, as it is with all of these films, is the human portion. We've seen it before. We've seen it with Alvin and the Chipmunks. We've seen it with the Smurfs. We've seen it with other properties. It's a thing that gets done time and time again where these films feel that the animation portion is not enough to hold the film up in itself. And so they give you a human protagonist, a Dave Seville, a Neil Patrick Harris, to kind of work with and run through the story with. And most of the time they're half-assed at best and goddamn terrible at their worst. And while this is most definitely a half-assed story, I actually don't think it's as bad as previous films like Alvin and the Chipmunks and the Smurfs. To kind of give a brief synopsis, you have Chloe Grace Moretz, who plays a down-on-her-luck girl in New York City who kind of lucks/lies her way into a job working as an events coordinator in a high-end hotel for a very publicized wedding. Unfortunately, I should have looked it up before this. I forget the name of the actress who played the bride. The groom was played by Colin Jost from SNL. And she works within the hotel with Michael Pena's character and Rob Delaney's character, who is the manager. The film does have a really talented supporting cast. Chloe Grace Moretz, Rob Delaney, Colin Jost. Again, I apologize. I forget her name offhand. I don't have it. I didn't recognize her from anything else. But the woman who played the groom, they're all doing their best with the material that they're given. And every once in a while, the more comedic-minded actors like Delaney and Jost do get a laugh out of, whether it's an ad-libbed line or the way they deliver the line. They do get a laugh out of me. The major issues with the human story fall with Michael Pena's character, who is the direct superior of Chloe Moretz, and Ken Jeong's character, who is just this crazed chef in the hotel. To start with Jeong, for me, he's a really interesting actor in that his comedic sensibilities have the ability to both make great films better and also bad films worse. If that makes any sort of sense. He can enhance good stories and really hinder bad ones. And my example is The Hangovers. The first Hangover, he makes he makes it better when he's introduced. The second one, which is a bad film, he makes it worse and he's overused when he's brought in. In this, however, it's a weird case of the character itself is just so underutilized that he doesn't really have a chance to impact the story. He's really only in 3 or 4 scenes. Anything else he's in, he's a background character. And you only get that weird level of Ken Jeong just craziness in one scene. And it's not well done. But because it's only one time, he's not excessively distracting from the film. But I wouldn't call him a positive either. Unfortunately, as much as I love him, Michael Pena is the biggest weakness for me in this film. His character and the way they portray him and his relationship to Chloe Moretz and to Tom and Jerry is very Ian Hawkish, who was David Cross in the Alvin and the Chipmunks films. He's played very much like that character, complete with the over-the-top acting, the corny deliveries of the jokes, the unfunny dialogue to begin with. It is written as almost a copycat of that character in that, he's the straight-laced, I'm the guy who knows how to do this job type of person, and he doesn't take well to the new people coming in trying to take that over from him and all the desperate attempts to hang on to it. Which sucks because I actually think the angle they give Pena's character at the start of he kind of seems like the underappreciated employee and he sees right through Moritz, but he's not being listened to. I think that's actually a very interesting direction to take a character in this. But the problem is rather than do anything potentially complex, and I get that a kid's film, it's Tom and Jerry, you're not to expect that much from it. Rather than do anything complex with it, they just prefer to make him over the top and turn him into an unnecessary villain for 20 minutes, and it is very wasted. Other than that, there's really not much I can say about this film. In terms of the production quality of the film, it's fine. It's not poorly directed. It's not the best written. It's not the worst written. It's got no weird gaffes. The animation, as you guys have seen in the clips I'm pulling up, is this very weird 2D in 3D style where the characters are flat like 2D, but they're very clearly 3D in the world and animated. It took me a bit of getting used to because it's not something you see very often, but once I was settled in, I did think it worked. I didn't have any issues with it. But yeah, there's no other extreme poor thing with this film. It's not like with the Smurfs, where not only do you have a bad concept for a film and bad writing, but Gajah Rosnell, who's just a terrible director overall, is horribly making this film. Tim Story, whether you like his films or not, is a competent director. I'm not a fan of the Fantastic Four films, but they're at least competently directed. And whether or not you like the products he puts out on a literal production level, he's not a bad director. So the film is well made, as much as you're gonna get. Overall, it shines when it puts its focus on its titular characters, as it jokingly credits them, Thomas D. Cat and Jerome A. Mouse. When you put the light on them, it's at its finest, and when it's not on them, it's a very wide range of scenes that fall between very meh and very cringy, but it's never outright bad while never being outright good. Overall, on the TMG scale out of 5, Tom and Jerry, for me, gets a 2.75 out of 5. It's not the best thing that's ever been made, but it's not the worst. If you have young kids who you want to get acclimated to Tom and Jerry, I think this might be a good way to introduce them. I think they may find more enjoyment out of it than you will. And if you have HBO Max, it is going to be free on there for the next month, so you can watch it from the comfort of your home without having to pay. If you are someone who is going to a theater, you have that safety and comfort to go to a theater to see films, I don't recommend it. If you want to watch it because you're curious, just watch it from HBO Max if you have it. And if you don't, and you don't need to go to a theater, you're not missing out on anything. That being said, thank you guys so much for watching this review. Please be sure to check out all the other reviews and trailer reactions we are putting up on the channel, and be sure to check out all of our podcast content that airs multiple days over the course of the week. That being said, we'll see you guys next time. TMG.